Is up, Sports Geeks? It's your host Josh here, back with another live stream, joined by Nick yet again. Nick, we are less than 24 hours away. We're about 21 hours away from the beginning of the best. What would it be? 96 hours of college basketball.
Yeah, I mean, we were right there. We're literally knocking on the door. I mean, we had 2 playing games last night. We got 2 tonight. And then next thing you know, it hits noon tomorrow and we're there. We're ready to go.
Yes, sir. Okay, so what we're doing today, we're just run through this bracket. We'll start with we'll just go in order, right? We'll go from the east down to the west and the bottom, and then we'll go back up to the top right. But, dude, I want to start off by saying I know we just a little talked about it briefly off air, but Virginia, I got the text from you immediately, and I was texting you the exact same thing of how are they in and how is Indiana State not in? And what we just saw was the exact reason why we were thinking that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it was embarrassing from them against Colorado State. It was annoying to watch, is what it
Yeah,
was.
I mean, you look at it. I mean, a lot of people knew it was going to happen, but then you
Mhm.
also had the sickos who were hoping that Virginia went on to win the game. But I mean, you score 14 points in one half, and as a team, you shoot 25%. That's worse than some teams shoot from three. And then
Yes.
you stack on the fact that there was literally a graphic last night that showed they didn't score for almost an hour.
Yeah.
An
53
hour.
minutes, right?
Yeah, I mean that's just if you're the selection committee, you should be embarrassed. Like you wasted a bid on somebody who deserved it. Like you said, Indiana State, St. John's, Seton
John's,
Hall,
yeah.
Oklahoma. Yeah, I mean those teams would have competed. You could have put another 16 seed in, would have competed more than Virginia.
Yep.
I mean, they were airballing 3-pointers, airballing free throws.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
necessarily understand like the concept of like there's bad losses, right? Like you can have a bad loss. Virginia had bad losses by 20 plus points.
yeah,
Like where
and
you're
they
losing
still
to
put them in.
West Virginia, Notre Dame by 20 plus. And it's like I understand like team's going to lose a game, right? Like you're going to play like crap, you're going to lose to a team you should beat. And if saying you're a tournament team, you're going to lose to teams that aren't tournament teams that you should beat. You shouldn't
Yep.
lose by 20
No,
multiple
I
times.
agree. Yeah, I agree.
But either way, enough just trash talk on Virginia, which is all deserved.
Oh
Let's
yeah,
go ahead and hop into the bracket. First round, we're not going to think too much about this. UConn moving through.
yeah. That was obvious.
Um, this FAU Northwestern is where it gets interesting. I think this is going to be a great game. I do think that Northwestern missing their big guy is going to be important. I think FAU is going to come out on top. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, you look at it, Northwestern, if you would have caught them at the beginning of Big Ten player in the middle of, in the middle when they saw everybody, this would be a whole different story. I think you would take Northwestern here, but FAU brought back everybody from that Final Four run. Yes, they
Yep.
might not have played like they did last year, but like you said, Northwestern's just missing too many pieces. Boo Buie could score 30 and they're still probably going to lose. So,
Right.
yeah, no, I
I think
agree. FAU's the right side.
And I think we saw that too in the Big Ten tournament, right? Boo Buie had 16 of their first 21 points in that game
Yep.
against Wisconsin, right? He came out unconscious, like 4 of 4 from three, like 6 of 7 from the floor, just unconscious, right? And they lost that game. They were up 21 to like 9, and
Yep.
he was unconscious. As soon as you make your offensive or your defensive adjustments towards Boo Buie, if you force the ball out of his hands, that team is going to struggle. And that's what you saw in the Big Ten tournament. I think it's what FAU is going to do. I think it's a recipe for success for FAU.
I agree.
There. Now, San Diego State UAB is an interesting one, right? Obviously, you have UAB coming in from the AAC. You have San Diego State who made a run last year. Do we have an upset here yet, or do you think this is going to be one of those 4 or 5 matchups that ends up here in the round of 32 as a 4 or 5 matchup?
This one kind of reminds me of the one last year with Charleston. It really
Yeah.
does. A lot of people I keep seeing UAB. No, they just don't do it for me again this year. I think I'm gonna,
Yeah.
go San Diego State just like I did last year. I mean, you look at UAB, they're a team. I don't like mean to be rude about. They shouldn't be here.
No.
They had a lot of chips fall their way in the AAC tournament with South Florida and Florida Atlantic both losing, and you get to the finals and you get to play a team that has been the bottom of the barrel in Temple in the American League the past 5+ years.
Yes.
So, no, I mean, UAB is lengthy. They are, but I think San Diego State all around is a better team. They're not going to have anybody who can guard Jalen Ledee down low. I mean, he's literally built like a brick house. So I think San Diego State's an easy choice.
Yep, and I think this next one is easy as well to me. I think
Yep.
commonly you could see some people fading them because you have the trend of when you do well in your conference tournament, you typically don't do as well in the national tournament, especially early. You know, a team
Yep.
like Auburn, you just played 4 straight days, but I don't. Auburn is a spectacular team. We just watched them showcase it on the biggest stage right in conference tournament. They have 27 wins, I believe, and let's see it here. 27 wins.
Yeah.
26 of them are by double digits. This team
Yeah.
is like when they win big, and when they
Yeah. They
lose,
they
they
blow
lose.
you out.
Yes. Now, I can understand a concern with that because that means when you play close games, you've lost them, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I mean, you clearly haven't lost that many of them, right? You mean you're
Yeah.
27-7
Exactly.
with
You're 27-7.
right. So I think this is easy. In this next round too, I mean, kind of hopping up there, I like Auburn over San Diego State too. I think Auburn's going to make a run. This Auburn UConn matchup
Yep.
that I don't like going through brackets, right? I don't like having a 1-4 and a 2-3 all the time. This is
Yeah.
one of those
But
situations where a 1-4 just seems so just like easy, right? I don't definitely don't see Yale getting on top of Auburn.
no.
Pause. But I definitely don't see San Diego State, edging, Auburn out either. So I think pushing Auburn and UConn through that next round is where I see. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think if there was going to be a 1-4 and a possible 2-3 matchup in any of these regions, it's going to be this
Yes.
region. You look at
Yes.
this region, and 1 through 4 on the seed lines all won their conference tournament, all high major conference tournaments.
Yes.
When I first saw this and when it was getting released, you look at it. If you're a UConn fan, I'd be pissed. Um, you know, yeah, you're getting all the good competition throughout the tournament, but at the same time, you were the number 1 overall seed. How are you getting rewarded? You didn't get rewarded one bit. But
Yes.
no, I agree with you. I think you look at it, Auburn is playing really good basketball at the right time. I mean, they rely on multiple guys to get the job done. Nobody on that team is selfish. They know how to
No.
pass the ball. They don't rely too heavily on anybody. And I think UConn versus Auburn, if it gets to that point, could be probably one of the best games in the tournament.
Yes. This is a Sweet 16 matchup that's like, you're looking at your slate, next week, right next week on Thursday or Friday, and you're
Yep.
circling it, right? This is the game. You're going to have a double-digit seed in there somewhere.
Yep. This
Houston,
is the one you're waiting
whatever, yeah, whatever is Purdue playing McNeese State, or maybe that one's a little lower down your list. This is up there, and this is what I was just looking for. So the East bracket KenPom rankings based on their, so this is their tournament seed. So the 1 seed UConn is number 1 in KenPom. The 4 seed Auburn is number 4 in KenPom. Or no, yeah, number 4 in KenPom. The 2 seed Iowa State is number 5 in KenPom. The 3 seed Illinois is number 10 in KenPom. They have 4 top 10 KenPom teams in one
Crazy.
region. And if you were to, and then you have San Diego State, is down there at 21. But this is stacked to me. I mean, UConn's the best number 1 seed. I don't think there's any doubt in that. To me, Auburn's the best 4 seed, maybe Duke in there, but I think Auburn's the best 4 seed. Illinois is the best 3 seed, and Iowa State's the best 2 seed. Like, you have all of them in the same bracket. I think this is just a stacked bracket. But kind of moving through, because we do have to cycle through this here. BYU Duquesne. Do you think the Dukes can get on top here?
I do not. I think I was listening to some podcasts earlier today when I was at work, and I heard that the only reason BYU is a 6 seed right now is because where they were going to be placed would have required them to play on Sunday, and they brought in saying they cannot play on Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
Great. I mean, I guess it worked out better for them because they're still getting, a basic 12 seed because Duquesne. Right. I don't think anybody thought they were going to be here. I don't even think the committee thought they were going to be here. I'm pretty sure the committee thought it was going to be VCU. So, like, all right, we're making them 11.
Right.
Duquesne wins. So, like, all right, we're just going to keep them at 11, blah, blah, blah. It works out easy. No, I think BYU is going to be too much for them.
Yeah, no,
BYU
I agree.
can be streaky, but I think BYU is just more athletic than Duquesne. And if they come out hot hitting threes, this game could be over. first half.
Yeah, no, BYU to me is a really scary team because there's a team that can light it up from 3-point range and light it up. And I'm looking at this. Do you see Morehead State? I kind of want to get ahead of myself, but do you see Morehead State beating Illinois? Or are we going to stay nice and simple so far?
I like staying nice and simple. I think if there's going to be a region with no upsets, I think it's this one. I really do.
Yeah, no,
There's no early upsets except for
yes.
maybe Drake. Maybe.
I actually do like Drake, but I do want to talk about this one real quick because we just watched Illinois play Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship, right? And although winning that game, Illinois defended the 3-point line horrendously. I mean,
Yep.
you had Klesmit was injured, right? And you still let Wisconsin torch you from the 3-point line. So to me, I'd look at this as like a terrible matchup for Illinois. If I'm Illinois, I'd see BYU as our 6th seed, and I'm sitting there saying shit immediately. Like
Yep.
this is the 1-6 seed we didn't want. And to me, I think this is where we see the first upset of this bracket. I think we see BYU knocking themselves there into the Sweet 16. Terrence Shannon Jr. is a stud. And if they get through BYU, I think that they actually have a really good path to make a run. But this BYU team, I think, just matches up terribly against, or well for BYU. I think Illinois just matched up poorly against BYU. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think you look at BYU, and like you said, they're a team that they're going to shoot the lights out of the ball. And even when they don't, they figure out ways to score. I mean, they have one of the best passing big men in the nation. So I know right now Dane Danes is not going to be able to go 3-point line extended on him and try to guard him. It's going to get Illinois spread out, and it's going to happen like BYU did all year, which was constantly getting the floor spread out and finding wide open threes or threes off cuts.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. This was a humongous pick that I loved putting BYU over Illinois in almost all of my brackets. I think that's a sure lock almost.
Yeah, no, the only concern that I have doing this, right, is that you see like really good 3-point shooting teams. If you are reliant on it, which BYU can score. I wouldn't put them in like the Bama, type of category, right? Bama is reliant on it, which I'm sure we'll get to that later. But BYU is really good at shooting the 3. They're not necessarily relying on it. But if they're shooting terribly, they're going to really struggle to beat anybody. And so that's where I think, getting an 11 seed like Duquesne is really big because Duquesne shouldn't really be here. Like you were saying, they shouldn't be here. So to get an 11 seed that shouldn't be here, instead of getting like you could have got like an NC State, or you could have got a
Oregon.
In Oregon, or even Nevada was at a 10, right? If you were to like those are some teams that if you would have got them, man, this could have been tough for BYU. But assuming they get through that first round, get those first, that first game jitters is where you see it, right? Teams struggle shooting.
It's going to help that they're playing Duquesne.
Yes, I think it's going to help big time. So here we're going down to Washington State Drake. I love Drake here. That's just me. I love Drake. I think that they're getting it done. Obviously, father-son duo, right? And
Player of the year.
Yes, I think just one of the best players in the tournament. If you're highlighting, 10 people that you think could go off, I don't know how you couldn't.
I want to say he was at least top 4 in this region for players. I'm almost positive he was.
Yes,
I 5.
Realistically, like glancing through it, right? You have Newton from UConn's obviously on there. I mean, UConn, you could probably throw a couple guys on there, right? You could throw Spencer Clinton on there, but so I like Drake here either way. I like Iowa State here as well, and I think this is a fun matchup here. Drake and Iowa State, kind of two clashing, teams, right? Iowa State is a defensive just maniacs, right? And Drake can score the hell out of the ball. So I think this
which one's going to give? It's the real question. Is which one's going to give? Is Iowa State can be able to have good enough defense to where they're doing what they did against Houston and hold them to 41 points and still put up 70, or is Iowa State going to struggle on the defensive end and have to try to rely on putting up points, which I think they can do. They have a really talented freshman, and they're not a bad team by any stretch. But like you said, are they going to have enough defense to go with Drake's offense? I think they do personally, but I don't know. How do you feel about that?
No, I agree. Iowa State is a team that I'm pretty much chalking into the Sweet 16 every time. And I don't like being too consistent with chalking, especially some like a 1 seed is a little bit more understandable. 2 seed is a little like is less, right? But to me, when you play Houston, who was the second 1 seed in the nation, right? The
Yep.
number 2 overall seed. You played them 3 times this year, and in 2 of the games you held them below 57, I believe, points.
Yeah.
That
Impressive.
defense to me is what wins. I mean, they say defense wins championships, right? We see it time and time again. When you have a
Yep.
defense that can go get a kill, right? You can go on a 10-0 run,
Yep.
and like that. When you have a kill run like that, and you can have defense that can throw out 3, 4, 5, 6 of them, dude. I think that's where it gets like really dangerous with a defense like that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, Iowa State's defense, I've seen it all year from watching the Big 12. I mean, 25 turnovers on the road at Cincinnati. They turned teams over, like you said. They held Houston under 57 points twice this year, one of them being almost under 40.
Yes.
They play insane ball hawking defense.
Mhm.
And the biggest thing for them is they take turnovers and they turn them into points in transition. And it is
Yes.
crazy. They get up and down the floor so fast whenever they get a turnover. It's almost like they have 3 guys of their own getting down there to throw an alley oop to the next, and the other team's still trying to run back and get back. It's crazy how they fill in. Teasel Osberger's done a great job.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know why, but I cannot wait. I hope it gets to become this matchup of BYU versus Iowa State.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, and the thing with Iowa State, which to me puts them into the Elite Eight here because of it, is that nothing is easy at all. Like nothing. And so
Yeah.
when you play a team like BYU, who, like we were saying, not reliant on the 3 point, on the 3 point scoring, but in a game this big, you pretty much are. You need like if you are going to go play Iowa State and you don't score from and you shoot poorly from 3, you're not going to win. Houston just showcased that, right?
Yeah.
And so to me, I just don't see. No, I think Iowa State makes everything so hard. I think BYU is going to be exhausted when you're shooting your threes. You're going to be leaving stuff short because offensively, it's 25 to 30 seconds every shot clock. You're not getting shots in the first 10. Iowa State's not, and if you are, it's a forced shot and it's a bad one. Like Iowa State just doesn't let that happen. So I'm putting Iowa State through. Are we cool with that?
Yeah, I agree. I think this is where the road ends for BYU. If they were picked to finish
Mhm.
dead last in the Big 12 at the beginning of the year, they overachieved this year. And, if they can get to the Sweet 16 and have a battle with a Big 12 conference foe, I mean, that's a great season in my book.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. So we have UConn Auburn, which, like we were saying, is a doozy of a matchup for a Sweet 16 game.
Oh, yeah.
Something to highlight here, though, since 2015, the reigning national champion has not made it out of the round of 32. They have not made the Sweet 16 since 2015. So I don't see UConn. I don't think that happens here with UConn. Obviously, you have FAU who made the run last year. I mean, let's not forget last year FAU was also in that 8-9 matchup, and they got to play FDU in that second round instead of Purdue, right? So
Yep.
it was a little bit love luck. Right now, they beat Kansas State, Kansas State was a great team, so I'm not going to take anything away from FAU here. But I don't think I see UConn getting through here. I think they end the streak. But it is really, really difficult to go back to back. And I think Auburn could be the reason they don't here. I think this could be where we see, UConn not end the streak. What do you think here though?
Yeah, no, I think, like I said earlier, I think this is going to be the best game this might be one of the best games of
Mhm.
the tournament. Look at it. 2 very high level, high energy teams. They've been fighting and battling all year. Very, very high in their conferences, obviously. I really want to take
Mhm.
Auburn. I want to, but I don't know. The way UConn plays, I mean, it's crazy. Whether it be their 5th guy in the rotation or, their starting point guard, you're going to get valuable minutes and you're going to get somebody off the bench who is so athletic that they can fill in the shoes of the starters.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
Personally, I think I'm going to have to take UConn.
yeah, and yeah, I'm cool with it. And it's just difficult when you have a team with so many scoring options, right? Like, and that's why, I mean, we talked about it in the one we did last week, right? And when you have, teams that have so many scoring options, it's just hard to have a bad game when you have so many different ways you can go. Cam Spencer can be hitting, right? Clingan can be eating you up in the
Yep.
post, right? Carabin can be hitting, or he could be eating you up in the post. Newton could be hitting. I mean, there's so many different ways this could go. I just think it's hard to see UConn not now getting here with this matchup. UConn Iowa State. Obviously we have a 1-2 here in this first Elite Eight matchup. I can promise we won't have 1-2s and everything else. This is probably going to be the only one we have a 1-2 in. But holy crap, what a game that we have here. Dude, I mean, this is kind of clashing again. I think this is where we would see Iowa State's run come to an end. The defense can get you so far. I think UConn just has enough that I look at Houston and I see you have Shed and Cryer that are your two primary scorers, right? And that's how you're going to get your they create just about everything. UConn has so many different guys that can create stuff. I think it just makes it a lot more difficult for Iowa State to guard. I also think you look at this Elite Eight game. The Elite Eight game is the second game in 3 days, right? And so Iowa State, if you're in a battle against BYU and you're playing defense for 40 minutes, I mean, it is so hard to play defense like the way Iowa State does. I think this could be where we see legs start to give towards the end of the game, and UConn's just deep enough with every aspect of the game. I think we could see them edge them out here.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think just like everything we said earlier, I mean, UConn's they got too many dogs in the fight that I don't think Iowa State can, like you said, keep up with them. They have so many different options. I mean, it's crazy. They want to dump it down low to Caravan and Klingan, they can. Yep. If they want to dribble drive and find, Cam Spencer or Tristan Newton or Caravan for a three, they can. Or if they want to, get up and defend and get in the fast break with Castle, I mean, there's just so many options. They're a complete team, and I know you don't want to take them all the way to the Final Four because you're going to be scared of nobody's ever repeated since 2007.
Yeah, the 2007 Florida team I think was the last time they did it.
Yeah, I just think this UConn team they're still as good as they were last year, and they just rinsed and repeated.
Yeah.
So I think them going to the Final Four is not a bad pick at all.
Yeah, so that is our East region. We will head down to the West down here. So this region to me. So obviously, big Spartans fan, right? It is crazy. You have the weakest 1 seed in North Carolina. To me, probably the weakest 3 seed in Baylor, or from Michigan State's perspective, at least. This is a team you beat by 25 earlier in the season. I would love to play.
Yeah, Detroit.
Yep. At the neutral site, right? That was 45 minutes from East Lansing and 20 hours from Waco, Texas. But,
they even put out that fake floor.
Yeah, they put out the neutral floor, and it was just held at the Pistons Arena for more Michigan State fans to go to, basically. But this is going to be a fun region because to me, I think this region is where I could see having in a Sweet 16 with none of the top 4 seeds. I could see that here. And I see the 4-5 being, especially the 4 in Bama being really fraudulent, and the 2 seed in Arizona, I think, being fraudulent as well. But we'll go ahead and obviously this first one, are you choosing Wagner over North Carolina? I'm going to hope not.
No, I mean, Wagner, props to them on winning yesterday. They shouldn't have won. I mean, I couldn't believe they got it done with 7 guys. They almost blew the lead at the end.
Tried to.
Yeah, no, I think Carolina can start their bench players and they'd still win.
Yeah, I would agree. They could put the managers out there for the second half, and it'd be then it might be close.
Yeah,
But okay, so we have North Carolina here. This is going to be a doozy of a game. Obviously, the MSU against MSU here. I'm not going to say anything. Obviously, I'm absurdly biased in this category. I'm letting you make the pick here.
Oh man, you're gonna hate me.
All right.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't been impressed at all this year by Michigan State. I haven't. I texted you, and I was surprised they were a 9. I thought they would have probably been a 10, and like they were last year in the 7-10 game. I don't know. It's the magic of Izzo and March, so you never know. Like you really never know what you're going to get. But when you look at Mississippi State, they play great defense. They don't play a great style of basketball. It can be ugly to watch at times, but they've battled. They've beaten Auburn. They went down to the wire with Kentucky.
I mean, they beat Tennessee. Tennessee in the SEC tournament.
Yeah, they beat. They beat Tennessee, and their guards are good enough to where they can knock down shots when they need to. I mean, especially in the Kentucky game, if Reed Shepherd doesn't go off for 30 points it
Mhm.
was, I mean, Mississippi State's walking out with another great win, and that could have propelled them to a 6 or a 7 seed. I mean, I don't know. I just think the guard play for Mississippi State might be too much for Michigan
Yeah.
State, but I think this game is honestly a toss-up.
Yes. I'm stoked about it, right? It's gonna be a good game. But I'm taking whatever you said there. I was taking it because I obviously am plenty biased in that category. But
I think either team was going to lose to Carolina
you do
anyways.
think so?
I
Well,
mean, I think
it's
I think I would
it's the
assume.
West region that is the most eastern game. I think, realistically, geographically, I think it's the most eastern game possible in Charlotte, North Carolina. Like, so it's the West
Yeah,
region playing in Charlotte, which is in North Carolina's backyard. I mean, like,
yeah,
they're this is the perfect region for them. They want to be in the West because it's literally in their backyard. But I do agree. North Carolina would probably go through there. RJ Davis is a stud. He's experienced. And you also have Harrison Ingram, Armando Bacot. Those guys can rebound well, especially Bacot. Animal on the rebound, animal on the glass, right? And when you have people that are going to give you that many more opportunities offensively, with offensive rebounding, Bacot, we saw it with North Carolina when 2 years ago when they made a run, right? And lost to Kansas in the national championship, which
yep.
a game they should have won realistically.
Should have won. I mean, yeah, they whole first half they had Kansas on the ropes and they just didn't
Right.
close it out.
But I mean, these guys, the leaders from North Carolina in Bacot and Davis, have done this before. This is nothing new to them. So to me, that's
Yep.
so important when it comes to March Madness here, and in playing in these high intensity, slow paced games, because everything just gets so much more. It's micromanaged to the finest point. So I really like North Carolina here. And this, 5-12 and 4-13 really could get interesting here. I think we're on the same page here. In that St. Mary's is able to get Grand Canyon, but that Charleston can get Bama. Thoughts
Yeah.
on that?
Yeah, no, I can see it. I think honestly, I think both of these games are toss-ups, but St. Mary's has been playing good
Mhm.
basketball. I think they're good enough to pull out a win against Grand Canyon. But I agree with you. I think Bama's been playing so bad. I mean, they're letting people score at will. They couldn't have gotten a worse matchup for a 13 seed than Charleston because Charleston puts up 80 something points per game. You know, I think Charleston, if they're going to get a win, this would be the team they'd want to play. The team that is absolutely lackadaisical on the defensive
Mhm.
end. They just want to get out and run and put up 25, you know, anywhere from 25 to 43s in the game. And this could literally be a track meet, and it could be, who gets that final bucket at the
Right.
end. And I would not be surprised one bit if Charleston pulled out a win
No,
here.
I wouldn't either. And I will say this about Bama. Bama is a team that is impossible to pick a bracket with, because you have a team, they could come out and lose by 25 to Charleston. I mean, realistically, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't hit anything and they just keep chucking, which they
Yeah.
will. I wouldn't be surprised if they do.
I mean, look at them. Look at them at home against Arkansas to end the
Exactly.
year.
Yeah.
I mean, they were down. They ended up winning in overtime, but they were literally down by as much as 16 to 17 points against a team who had a losing
Yeah.
record.
I mean, it's crazy to me. But then this Bama team also, if you catch them on the wrong day, or if you catch Bama on Bama's right day, this Bama will win
Yep.
the game by 30. It won't even, it will be they'll be up by 25 at half. Sears will have 20. Grant Nelson will be doing whatever he wants, right? It's just they're so inconsistent. They're consistently inconsistent is what they are. It's kind of annoying to try to pick a bracket with them, because like right here we haven't picked them for a first round exit. I wouldn't be surprised to make the final four, because if they're shooting well, they're really really hard to beat.
Exactly. You just never know what you're going to
Right, but
get.
I think that when you have inconsistencies, we typically see the bad inconsistency come out in the tournament, right? The teams that are consistent are the
Yep.
teams that can win in March. Um, And I think that this is going to be a fun matchup between St. Mary's and Charleston. Do you think Charleston makes is the first double-digit seed that we chalk into the Elite Eight here, or the Sweet 16 rather, or no?
I don't know. I think I want to, but I know at the same time I've watched Charleston too much in their conference tournament, and they had times where they struggled with these teams who were not nearly tournament caliber
Right.
teams. St. Mary's has some really good guards. They're athletic. They can switch 1 through 4, and I think St. Mary's will be able to get it done and get to that game against Carolina.
Yeah, no, and I like Carolina through them as well. I think
Yep.
that's another 1 seed that we get through. I can tell you that from down here, we will not be getting a. I like some lower seeds down there, down here.
So do
And
I.
the one that I really want to highlight here is Nevada, and so I'm going to go ahead and put them through right away.
I love Nevada.
And we talk about this as soon as the bracket comes out. Is we like Nevada, but less of that fact that I like Nevada. It's that I really don't like Dayton and as a 7 seed, and I really don't like Arizona as a 2 seed either. I think Arizona's that same high octane offense that's inconsistent, and if you're playing so fast, I think that when you get to March Madness, you get a little bit of nerves going in you. I don't think it'll happen against Long Beach State. It could. We saw it last year against Princeton, right? Arizona's a team that could lose. I don't think they do, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if we saw Nevada going into the Sweet 16 here. But we'll go ahead and put Arizona through here. I do want to hear your thoughts on this Clemson, New Mexico, and Baylor Colgate. Do you think Colgate can be the first 14/3 here that we're picking, or no?
I don't. I personally don't. When we did our show about 2 weeks ago, I was huge Baylor fan, and I still am. I think they're a little bit inconsistent, but I think they have enough firepower to where they can turn it on. No matter it takes that quickly for them to turn it on, and I think with Yves Messi down low, I don't think Colgate has anybody that's gonna be able to guard him. Jacoby Walter, Ray J. Dennis. I think those guys are gonna be way too much for Colgate, and I think Baylor wins this by 10 plus.
Yep, I was seeing if you would fall for that there. I like Baylor through as well. I do think New Mexico comes out on top here. The thing to look at is they're the betting favorite, and Vegas, they always win. We know that, right? And so I don't think you should completely base your bracket off of that, right? But to some point, they know better than any analyst, ever. And so to have an 11 seed favored over a 6 seed, we've also seen how weak the ACC's been this year, right? We saw it with Virginia. Virginia got through and they just got pummeled by Colorado State last night. I mean, pummeled. And so to me, I see another ACC team that's not that elite. Obviously that your North Carolinas and your Dukes are that elite caliber. To me, the elite caliber ACC teams. Everybody else in the conference, I think, is just soft, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if we get an upset. So we have our two first upsets really here. Do we see either of these double-digit seeds making it to the Sweet 16 here, in your opinion?
When I look at the Baylor, New Mexico, I just look at they're both good teams, yes, but when you look at Baylor, you can just once again just too big for them. Look at contrasting styles. They're just Baylor's the overall better team. People keep overlooking Baylor in this bracket, saying they finished the year bad with Iowa State. I think Baylor's still a solid team. You've seen them who they beat this year. They have good wins, and I think New Mexico is good enough to get one upset, but I think that's about it. And even though it's not really an upset because Clemson finished behind Virginia in the ACC. They finished 11-9 in a very, very weak ACC. Right. But yet, since they're in the ACC, they're still going to get rewarded with a 6 seed, which they don't deserve. I look at Clemson and I see them in an 8-9 game, and somehow they're getting a 6. No, they don't deserve to be in that spot. And I think Baylor could probably handle New Mexico pretty.
No, I agree with you there. Now, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Nevada beats Arizona here. I think that this is just a matchup where Arizona on a bad shooting day, Caleb Love gets in foul trouble, whatever it may be, right? If you have an issue with Caleb Love, if it's Caleb Love shooting bad, if it's a foul trouble, like I said, if it's a rolled ankle in the first half, as soon as Caleb Love
Yep.
is off of the court, this team drops off a lot to me. And I think that,
Yep.
obviously it's March Madness. You're gonna miss picks, right? And but you also have to pick some upsets. And I think a 10 seed making it to the Sweet 16 here, I don't think that's crazy. I think Arizona, you're 32 minutes a game is what Caleb Love played this season. That's heavy. I wouldn't be
Yep.
surprised at all if Nevada wins here. What are you thoughts on chalking Nevada through here?
Yeah, so we'll start with obviously Nevada over Dayton.
Mhm.
I love that. I think Dayton's fraudulent. Dayton's best 2 wins are literally over UC and St. John's. I mean, other than that, they don't have many great wins. So, I think they kind of coasted into this tournament on
Yes.
fumes. So Nevada's an easy winner there. And like you said, you look at Nevada and Arizona. Nevada is a streaky team. They are. But when they were playing their best ball in the Mountain West, they were throttling teams. I mean, they were absolutely beating the crap out of these teams. And like you said, Arizona, you never know what you're going to get. I mean, Pella Larson could sometimes go off for 17 or he's just going to give you
Right.
7. Same with Killian Boswell. You don't know what he's going to give you. Whenever, like, if he's leading the point, you're going to be in trouble. You need Caleb Love to be out there. And if he's not, I think Nevada could win this game by 6-7 points. And I think I agree with you here. I think Nevada is going to be playing Baylor in the next round.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see Jared Lucas for Nevada here have a run that we see in the tournament that is like a historic run. Like this dude can clip, right? Shooting 40% from three on the season. And he's putting up nearly, just south of 18 points a game. This dude can clip, and I wouldn't be surprised at all. He's great at creating his own shot. I would not be surprised at all if we see him put up 25 plus against Dayton, 25, maybe even to flirt with 30 plus against Arizona, right? In those big games. If you catch him on the wrong day, we talk about Caleb Love there, right? Caleb Love on the bad day could hurt you. Caleb Love on a great day could carry you to the Final Four, right? There's no doubt about that. But I mean,
AK, what he did with
yes,
Carolina.
exactly. But Jared Lucas to me is like, if you want to stay with Nevada, that Caleb or Cody Martin, whichever one you want to go, like he is that type of player that late in the game can go get you a bucket, right? I mean, you don't put up 18 points a game.
Jared, he's a proven winner.
And you don't put up 18 points a game in college basketball and not have a deep bag. And he does. And when you get to March Madness, it's going to be leaned on, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if he even goes to Baylor, and I wouldn't be surprised if they had issues with him as well. I know you're really high on Baylor here. Do we want to put a 10 seed into the Elite Eight, or are we sticking with a 3 seed here?
When I look at this, I think Baylor just has too many athletes for a team like Nevada. Like you said, Jared Lucas is a great player. He's a proven winner. He did it at Oregon State in the tournament. They had their run. He can hunt his shot and he can get his shot whenever he wants. But I think when you got a guy like Ray J. Dennis on him, his shot's going to go away pretty quickly. And then who are you going to turn to? I mean, you got Blackshear, but Blackshear is going to be getting guarded by Jalen Bridges, who's a really good defender, or Jacoby Walter. And I once again think that Baylor's just going to be too much for the Wolfpack.
Yeah, no, and like you said, I mean, Jared Lucas is a stud, but when you get out of if you can get him out of his game, right? Like you said, you have Blackshear, right around 15. Nick Davidson's right around 12. Those are only 3 scorers in double figures on the season. So you go play against a team with Baylor with 6 guys in double figures, right? I mean, averaging double figures.
Exactly.
It's really, really good when you get to. I mean, we were just talking about with UConn. You have so many. When you're balanced on offense, we have so many different guys that could score. UC saw it too. I mean, we had their 3 top scorers to 0. I mean, 0 field goals. 0 points, right?
Yeah.
0 points.
Shot 0 of 14.
And we were up 2? Like, that's scary.
Ended up losing by double digits.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what you would expect, right? As soon as Ray J. Dennis, as soon as Jacoby Walter, as soon as Yves Missi, as soon as they're starting to score, it's like, whoa, oh crap. And it's exactly what happened. So I like Baylor. I would actually even say that in this matchup against North Carolina, I like Baylor as well. I think Yves Missi.
I like Baylor even. I
was going to say, I like Yves Missi to me against, for all the reasons we just said against Nevada, right? Yves Missi against Baycott, I think cooks him.
he would
Yes.
tear him up. He would tear him up. Baycott be way too
Yeah.
slow to guard him. I mean, you would look the Harrison Ingram versus Jalen Bridges matchup would be
Right.
fantastic, and then obviously Ray J Dennis versus RJ. But I feel like if Ray J can at least slow RJ down, and then you can get the ball into the paint and let the big man for Baylor work, you get Baycott in foul
Yes.
trouble, and I think
And
he
that's what I was just
scores
about to say
his
too,
game
is
away.
that we've seen it with Yves Missi is he's so good off the dribble for his like
Yeah, for being
right.
6'11". I
And
mean, you look at him; he's a top 10 pick right
yes,
now.
absolutely. And his rim protection is great. But offensively, I see this being if this matchup, if we get a North Carolina Baylor game, I see Baycott fouling out of the game or being in foul trouble the entire game. Because when you take
Yep.
somebody of Baycott's size and you get them out of the paint because they have to, right? You go guard Yves Missi on a high post catch and he's gonna go dribble at you. That's dangerous. Yeah,
You're in
he's gonna put
trouble.
two hands on him. Okay, there's a foul, right? You're not moving your feet quick enough because you just can't because you're enormous. There's a foul. I see Yves Missi getting him in foul trouble, and I think the other thing too is that Drew is just a great coach, right? Scott Drew is a great coach. He's been there before. He's won a championship before. I think the experience really comes out here in this Elite Eight matchup. I think Baylor through to the Final Four against UConn is going to
Yep.
be a great matchup. So if we move over to the right side of this bracket, we have Houston up here against Longwood, which, interesting enough, the last 3 years, there has been a team name with there's been a top 2 seed lose in the first round to a team with some part of male genitalia in their name. And this is just a funny trend. I don't genuinely think this is going to happen, but
Where'd you find
dude, I
that
saw it on
stat?
Twitter. It was just crazy. March Madness Twitter. I was deep in March Madness Twitter, and it was Oral Roberts over Ohio State, and then you had
Yep.
St. Peter's over
Oh, yeah.
Kentucky, and then last year you had Fairleigh Dickinson over Purdue. Now you have
Purdue.
Longwood playing Houston here. I don't think it happens at all, but I just thought it'd be funny to talk about because I don't know who
That is actually crazy to
I
think
don't know who
about.
found that trend at all, but you had to just I mean, you had to smoke something, right? Like you had to just like nobody in their right mind thinks of that and it's like, oh yeah, I
Like, y'all, that had to be continuous for a couple years
right,
in a
right.
row.
But so putting Houston here through, I love Nebraska. I think I'm a little bit upset that we have Nebraska here as a playing Houston in the second round because I think a Kaisei Tominaga, uh, March Madness run would just hit so hard. I mean, it would be
Oh, it'd be
yeah,
awesome.
it would be awesome. It'd be Jimmer Fredette, Steph Curry with Davidson, that type of just level of just oh my god, this is so fun to watch. Circle like the Max Asmus with Oral Roberts, right? Same type of player. Dude's just electric, a
Yep.
crowd stunner. I like Nebraska in the first round, I really do, but I don't like him in the second round. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that game with Nebraska and A&M is honestly another 8-9
Yep.
coin flip. I mean, I think Tominaga's going to have to go off for 2025 if they want to win that game. Because you look at A&M's guards and you saw what they did against Kentucky in the SEC tournament to give them a 10-point win. And I mean, they put up 97. I know Kentucky doesn't play
Right.
defense, but I mean, that A&M team looked fantastic. So, I think Nebraska edges them out, but they have to, they're going to have to do some serious uphill battle.
Yep, I like that a lot. Here's where it gets interesting too, I think, because we have James Madison, Wisconsin is going to be a great matchup. This James Madison team is no joke. These guys are studs. First game of the year, I remember watching them play Michigan State, thinking, cool, we got James
Yep.
Madison. It's just one guy named James Madison. Surely we can beat him, right? But, I mean, they played great, and they've been great all season. And to me, this is a difficult matchup for Wisconsin. I would not be surprised at all. I know 12-5 is a common upset, right? And we have not
Yep.
picked one yet. We've had both 5 seeds through. I think this is where we maybe see our first 12-5 upset.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like you said, you bring up the first game of the year, James Madison. They weren't even healthy at that time. I was watching them in their conference tournament. They literally just brought back one of their guards who was averaging, I want to say, 14 plus points. I mean, they're a really, really good team, and I think Wisconsin got a really bad draw. And I agree with you. James Madison's going to pull this game out. I think this is our first 5-12
Well,
upset.
and you saw it on the selection show too, right? When they show Wisconsin, they're as a 5 seed, everyone, yeah, and then they show the 12
Yeah,
seed
they
of
were
James
like,
Madison, and they're like, oh boy,
they're like, oh,
yeah. Um,
you could
Yeah.
definitely see
Now
it.
Duke is a team that's really streaky, right? We've seen them, when they're at their high of highs, they are spectacular, right? When McCain's hitting threes, when you have Pryor getting to the basket, when obviously Flapowski's, thank God he's back from his career-ending injury that happened on that court.
Oh yeah,
Thank God he's back from that because that was so bad.
thank God he didn't have to get his leg
I know
amputated
it
because
was
I heard it was
it
getting
was
pretty
a
bad.
concern for a little bit. I was praying for him every night to make sure that he could get back. But luckily it only took a day or two of praying to get him back. But I
Yeah,
think Duke
yeah.
gets through first round. I don't think Vermont gives them any issues. I watched Vermont play against Marquette last year in the first round. I was at the Michigan State USC game and then was able to see the Vermont Marquette. Vermont was one of the worst teams I've ever seen play last year. Obviously teams a little bit different this year. They're made the tournament. You win the conference. Not that they don't deserve to be here, but I don't see them beating Duke here at all.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, Duke's too
Mm-hmm.
good. I mean, they're soft, but they're
Yes.
good. And I don't see Vermont giving them any type of battle. I honestly don't even see James Madison giving them a battle, if I'm going to be honest with
Yeah.
you. I think Duke's too athletic for James Madison. Maybe they don't have the post presence. But either way, Jared McCain, Jeremy Roach, Tyrese Proctor, pick and choose who you want. And I think each one of them could go off for 20. They felt.
Yeah, I'm with you there. This Texas Tech NC State game is an interesting one. A lot of teams a lot of people I think should say, I think are going to be choosing NC State. I'm not near as high on
Yeah.
NC State as a lot of people, I think, because they were a 10 seed in the ACC, right? We were just talking how weak the ACC was. They were a 10 seed. They went through Virginia, right? We just saw how bad they were, but you went through Virginia, Duke, North Carolina, right? That was your final 3 games.
Almost lost to Louisville in the beginning. Ended up pulling away,
Yes.
but struggled with Louisville in the first round.
To me, I see, like, don't get me wrong, Burns is a stud. Like, he is a stud. He's fun to watch. He's built like a defensive tackle is what he's built like. Great passer of the ball. I just think Pop Isaacs in this Texas Tech team might be a little bit too much for him. And, as an 11 seed, the other thing that people forget too, they just played 5 games in 5 days. 5 games in 5 days.
Yep.
And you got because the last game was Saturday night, right, for the ACC. So you got Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and even then you're realistically only home for 2 days, right? Before
you go home for the selection show, and that's about it. You're getting back on the road because you have to do all the press conferences and
right.
all that. So I mean, I think this is where the magic runs out for NC State. I think they hats off to them for going on the run to get themselves a bid, steal a bid from other teams. But I agree with you. Texas Tech is too athletic. Pop Isaacs is fantastic. He does it on both ends of the ball. You could see it in their Big 12 games. He would put up 12. He'd put up 15 points, and then he'd go and get 3 or 4 steals. He's a fantastic player, and I don't think NC State has anybody that can even remotely try to.
Right. No, I'm with you. I think DJ Burns is gonna be hard to guard. He always is, like no matter what. And to me, maybe you can make Pop Isaacs work defensively, right? I mean, I think that's got to be your MO. Maybe DJ Horn can end up, but realistically, I don't think Pop Isaacs would even, if you're making Pop Isaacs work that hard defensively, I think Tech can just go to his own. And I think you can get the workload off of your star players defensively if you need to. I think Tech is going to go through here. And realistically, I like Kentucky to go through. I think this game might be close, though. Oakland is not bad at all, and Kentucky does not play defense. They don't. And so I think
Yeah, no, they refuse to.
I think if you are obsessed with picking a 14 over a 3, I think this is the game to go to. I think Oakland is your team. I don't really like the 14 over 3 matchups this year. I just don't think, of the 14 seeds, I just don't think they really match up well. But Oakland can score the crap out of the ball too. And realistically, if it gets into a track meet, I think Kentucky wins it. But
Yeah,
just
I
but
agree.
if for some reason it's not a track meet, which Oakland plays really quick too, but for some reason it's not a track meet, I wouldn't be surprised if Oakland came out on top here. But I do like Texas Tech beyond Kentucky as well because I think Kentucky just doesn't play defense. And they're so inconsistent shooting the ball. And you also you're so young, right? Reed Shepard, freshman. Rob Dillingham, freshman, right? DJ Wagner,
Yeah.
freshman. 3 freshmen leading your backcourt. To me, that's like the recipe for disaster in March Madness.
Yeah, no, I look at that second round game, and there was a few brackets where I put Texas Tech over Kentucky for that same reason, but also because of the fact that I just don't like
Right.
Kentucky. But at the same time, I had Kentucky advancing in most. You look at Kentucky; they're very young, but they also have Antonio Reeves, and they also have Trey Mitchell, 2 guys that have been in the tournament, have played in
Yep.
the tournament. Know how to hold down a locker room and continuously get these young guys to go out there and be fearless and play good ball. I think Rob Dillingham and Reed Shepard could both go off for 20 any given night, and I think Kentucky's just got too many guards that Texas Tech can hang with because I think all you got to do is put Rob Dillingham or Antonio Reeves on Pop Isaacs, and I think you easily already shut down Texas Tech. I mean,
Yeah.
they have no other really big time scoring options. So I think Kentucky will be too much for Texas Tech, but I don't see it being a blowout.
Yeah, no, I will say kind of to go off what you said there too is Kentucky has a plethora of different guys that could score. So although your defense is optional at times, is what it seems like, you have so many guys that can score. The likelihood of having a bad offensive day is just so small because if Reeves isn't hitting, Dillingham probably is. If neither one of those guys are, Shepard is, right? And so I think it's just you're deep enough that it probably does help there as well. Going into this, Florida again. Well, obviously, we have the Colorado game tonight, right? I think Colorado wins tonight against Boise State. I think Colorado is significantly better than them. I wouldn't be surprised if Colorado ran them off the court tonight. But I like Colorado through past Florida as well, and that's just me personally. I don't know, thoughts on that.
Yep. No, I couldn't agree more. I think Colorado gets 2 and 3 days. I mean, you look at them. If you watched the game against Oregon on Saturday night, that game was great. I mean, both teams were proved that they deserve to be in the tournament. And I think you look at Colorado; they're very lengthy, they're very athletic. They got Eddie Lampkin down low, and you look at a Florida team who was safely going to be in the tournament, but they wanted to get that SEC championship, and sometimes that can burn a team. And you look at what it did. They're starting big man who averaged 7-8 rebounds a game, breaks his leg.
Yep.
Who's going to guard Eddie Lampkin now? Who's going to guard anybody right now for Colorado against Colorado? And I think that's where you see another upset on a 10-7.
Yeah, no, I'm completely with you. You know what would just be a dream matchup though is if we somehow got an NC State against Colorado matchup in the Sweet 16, and we got to see an Eddie Lampkin against DJ Burns just trenches battle. That would be a must watch. I don't care.
That would be an absolute battle.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that'd be awesome. I mean, if they go down, you better hold your beer if you're in the stadium because it might fall over. It's going to be shaking. That is a lot of mass between those two dudes.
Yeah.
But no, I'm with you. I think Florida, obviously, extremely unfortunate with the injury. Right? It was gruesome leg injury.
Yeah, it was
very
unfortunate.
It was bad. Yeah, like that game was stopped for like 8 to 10 minutes. Like it was bad, but it's unfortunate. It was a hard time for him. It sucks, but at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Lampkin runs Florida off the court because you just don't have an answer for him. Marquette's an interesting one too, and I saw that they're the most picked 2 seed to lose, and in the first round. And realistically, I look at this team. You have so many different options. Obviously, Kolek is the one who it goes through, right, and Iguodaro as well. Kolek, as of 3 days ago, he was working back and he needed to progress through practice, is what Shaka Smart said. I haven't watched his press conference from, I don't know if it was today, if that's when their press conference was, but I haven't seen it. But I know that also, Iguodala and Stevie Mitchell both went down with injuries in that UConn game and didn't play the final 10 minutes of that game. But Shaka Smart 3 days ago said both of them are playing. So there's no issues with those two. Kolek, he said the plan is for him to play, but yeah, we have to see him progress through practice. That was 3 days ago. Haven't heard anything else since. But realistically, I see Marquette winning this game. Kolek, like this, and this is my last point here. Kolek was out when you played UConn twice, and it was a single-digit game both times.
Exactly.
So if you're within 9 points of UConn, the number one overall seed twice, if you take 9 points off of UConn, they would shatter Western Kentucky. I know that Kolek's out. If he's out, if he doesn't play, I know that would make them worse. I'm not trying to say they're just as good, but that team without Kolek is probably still like a 4 or 5 seed in this tournament. Like they're really, really good without him still. So I like him through to the second round at least.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think a lot of people are trying to pick Western Kentucky here because they're doing bracket challenges and they're trying to get some points on maybe a crazy upset. But I don't see it. I mean, I've watched this Marquette team without Kolek. They are fantastic still. They still move the ball the same way they do. They still facilitate. They still get Iguodala post moves. They still get everything they need to get. I mean, there was a stretch when Kolek was out. Cam Jones was averaging 28.5 points per game. I mean, he single-handedly willed them to some wins, and I don't see that stopping just because they're playing a Western Kentucky team from Conference USA. I don't know. I agree with you. I think Marquette rolls Western Kentucky easily. And I think I'm going to say it now, even if Kolek's not back for that game against Colorado, I think they still win that too.
Okay, good. That's what I'm on to here too. I mean, as well, the Eddie Lampkin Jr. Like we were just talking about, great player. For him to have to go guard Iguodala, I don't think we understand how hard that is for somebody of his size to guard somebody that athletic. Iguodala will be out at the 3-point line doing a dribble handoff with somebody. He is freakishly athletic. He is such a dynamic player, versatile player, that it makes it really, really difficult to guard. And to me, I see Marquette winning that game. And this weekend is the big weekend because then when you get to the Sweet 16, Kolek's back. And to me, that's enough to get them through the Elite Eight because this Marquette team is so good. They have so many different scorers here. And I'm huge on the Big East. I am. The 3 teams that are in this tournament from the Big East, I love them. Maybe St. John's could have been in. You probably could argue that, right? But I love the 3 teams that from the Big East that are in. We've seen them all year. They've been really, really dominant. They beat up on each other a little bit. Creighton beat up on both Marquette and UConn. But I like Marquette through here. This Duke-Houston game, Houston was one of my number 1 teams before this Big 12 championship. But the Big 12 championship was so scary to me from picking them through because we didn't see it all season of them just getting ran out of the gym, right? And we saw it from everybody, right? When UConn played Creighton, we saw it. When Marquette played Creighton, we saw it. When Purdue had lost some games, maybe didn't get ran out of the gym, but they had lost some games,
some bad losses.
And we also know Purdue's history, right, in the tournament. So, everybody had been ran out of the gym. Houston had not, but they just got pummeled. And I think this game against Duke is honestly a pretty rough matchup for them because Duke has so many different scorers. You have great defenders, right? Obviously, Jamal Shedd's a stud of a defender, right? He's the elite defender. But I just wonder if Duke has too many scoring options for Houston to really, prevent or slow down.
Yeah, no, I mean, you look at this matchup and like I brought up with all the different guards that Duke has, I mean, if Duke's going to win this game, it's really going to come down to are Filipowski and Mark Mitchell tough enough down low to, battle Juwan Roberts and the big man for Houston Francis. If they can't, then I think Houston edges this one out and they get a win. If they do, then I think, I think Duke moves on to the next round. I mean, that's really what it's going to come down to. I mean, if Houston has another poor shooting performance, which I don't think they will, I think, that was a nice little wake-up call for them to get a loss like that. Because, you know what? They're going to come into the tournament pissed off. And
right.
You already know that they don't take that as a team, and they're not going to roll with that. Kelvin Sampson doesn't believe in that, taking ass
No,
like that. So I mean, I want to take Houston in this. I think they're still the better team, especially considering how tough Houston plays. Duke's really, really soft. They've proven it all year. I mean, Duke has bad losses all year. I mean, they got buoyed around by Georgia Tech.
right. Yep.
You
That
lose
was
to Pitt, you lose to Pitt, you lose to Wake, and then your player acts like he broke his leg. I think the team's soft. I think they get to the Sweet 16. I think that's about it.
I don't mind it. I also would not mind. I think James Madison could get through here too because of
Yeah,
that just soft factor, right? If you're playing soft in March Madness and you have a James Madison team with nothing to lose, that's dangerous.
scary.
It's always scary, right? It's always when you have a double digit seed playing in the second round, nothing to lose at all. Your school's making a ton of money off you already. You have your entire school behind you, right? You're looking at a team like maybe not with James Madison because you had a really good season. But if you were to look elsewhere, right? Like if you were to go, over here with the Charleston or with the New Mexico, you have a school that's everybody's behind you now. Everybody is right.
Yeah.
Everybody's you have your entire university watching the game. You haven't had that yet this season. These guys are playing with their their college lives on the line. They're playing with their NBA lives on the line, right? And we've seen several guys like Caleb and Cody Martin make names for themselves in March Madness, and that's how you get to that the NBA draft. So that is dangerous when you get a team like James Madison or anybody in there. But this Houston Marquette game is a doozy of a game. Who do you think comes out on top on this? Because I think to me this is a coin flip.
Yeah, I don't know this one, to be honest with you. I think if Marquette is completely healthy and Kolek gets back to what he was, I think Marquette gets the win here. In most of my brackets, I usually have either Marquette or Kentucky going to the final.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, with teams who play heavy, heavy, heavy defense, it's eventually going to run out.
Right.
And I think this is where the end of the line is for Houston.
Yeah, no, I don't mind that at all. So here we go to this final bracket here. This is where we've had a 1-2, a 1-2, and a 1-3. So we've been pretty top heavy with picks here, which is
Yeah,
always hard to make a serious bracket with a 13 seed going to the Elite Eight or something, right?
exactly. It's too
But
scary to try to do.
right, but I mean we've seen it happen before. I wouldn't be surprised at all if it happens again this year. To me, we have Purdue going through. It's not gonna happen again. It's not going to. And to me,
No, they'll get at least one win under their belt.
yes, and I think TCU runs through them as well. And in all honesty, I think Purdue runs.
Yeah, Utah State's overrated.
Right, and to me, I think Purdue runs through TCU as well. I just don't think TCU is the size. And Purdue force feeds Zach Edey.
That was where I saw them possibly losing.
Really,
I did, but like I agree with you though. TCU with Edey it's a whole different animal.
right?
But whenever it comes to tournament time, those smaller teams always figure out a way to make his life a living hell.
Yeah, no, I mean it could be rough, but at the same time, I think last year too, what really hurt Purdue is obviously FDU shot the three really well. They had a stretch five, they shot the three well, but Fletcher Lawyer was terrible from three. I think he was like 1 of 9 from three in that game. And you also had Braden Smith with like 7 turnovers in that game. That just hasn't been happening this season. Like Fletcher Lawyer's been shooting 44% from three in this season. Braden Smith is only averaging between 2 and 3 turnovers per game. Could it still be an issue like later down the line when you play a team with a more like just a better overall defense, a better offense, to make them work hard on the other side of the court? Yes, but I don't think it happens that early again, just because I think this team's, they're really experienced now. I guess more experienced now. And I see Purdue making the Sweet 16. I would not be surprised at all if we see a team like McNeese even sneak into that Elite Eight, getting over Purdue.
Yeah, no, I mean, you go down and look at the next games. I love McNeese over Gonzaga. I think Gonzaga is seated way too highly. They don't deserve to be a 5. I mean, they struggled all year. They got some good key wins down the stretch. But I mean, you look at it, they got a win against Kentucky, who doesn't play defense. They were able to steal one from St. Mary's. And then you look at the rest of their conference, and there's nothing else that's really crazy to think about. So, yeah, that's probably my favorite upset is McNeese. And then you look at this next game with Kansas and Samford. People are really loving Samford. I still don't see it. Obviously Kevin McCullough's not going to play for Kansas, but I think if you get back Hunter Dickinson, it takes a little bit of the weight off of Johnny Furphy. When UC played Kansas in that Big 12 tournament, it was literally all just KJ Adams. Johnny Furphy put up like 3 points, but at the same time, they were really relying heavily on Johnny Furphy to try to put up points. And I think if you bring back Hunter, Samford's not going to have anybody to guard the duo of him and KJ Adams, and that frees up Johnny Furphy more to get those open shots. And I mean, you obviously have DeJuan Harris as well. So Samford, okay. I think they'll cover the spread. They're not going to beat Kansas. They're not.
I'm with you here, but I will say this, and I think McNeese beats Kansas in the second round to get through. Because I think without McCullough, you can get by with Samford. But when you get a team like McNeese, who, I mean, they have a coach who was at LSU, right? You were at LSU. He's had the big time ball. He's played in SEC games. He's not scared of a Power 5 conference team. You have McCullough out is so crucial for this Kansas team. He creates so many shots for both himself, for others. If DeJuan Harris is leaned on to score, if Furphy isn't scoring and DeJuan Harris is leaned on to score, I think Kansas loses this game. I like McNeese through to the Sweet 16 as our lowest seed yet through. We had a 10 seed over here with Nevada, but 12 seed in. I love it. Going down here.
Yeah, no, I love that pick. That's a great pick.
Going down here, and I wouldn't be surprised if they get one more under their belt here either, realistically. But going down here, I think that Oregon gets South Carolina, and I think that Creighton gets Akron comfortably. Creighton's really good. They made a solid run last year to the Elite Eight, I believe. I don't think that they're going to be an early round exit. I think they even get to the Sweet 16 pretty comfortably over Oregon. Here's where I think it gets fun. I think Colorado State and Texas is a good game. I think Tennessee takes care of business. If there's going to be a 2 seed to lose, I wouldn't be surprised if it's Tennessee because they looked terrible against Mississippi State, but also pretty rarely do you see a team.
Yeah, that was a beatdown.
I think pretty rarely you see a team lose in the first round of their conference tournament and come into the March Madness and lose in the first round as well. I don't know the stat off the top of my head, but I do know that it is pretty rare that happens. So this Texas-Colorado State game, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on though.
I don't know. I think this will be a really good game. Obviously, two really good, mid-major point guards, Max Hazemas and Isaiah Stevens, both very, very good with the ball, can create their shot and, hit their shot most of the time, no matter if it's a wide open shot or a heavily contested shot. The thing that kind of scares me for Colorado State is the fact that, you go out and you beat Virginia by 20, whatever. I know Virginia was playing slow, but Colorado State was playing slow too. And I think that's where it could hurt them. Texas can get out and run. Texas isn't afraid to get out and transition. They can dump it down to Mitchell. They can also dump it down to Disu. And I think those are two really good post guys that are going to give trouble to Colorado State because, Colorado State, while they did win by 20, did not impress me that much yesterday.
I think it was also just a little bit less of Colorado State and just more of how bad Virginia really is. I think that was the real testament.
So I don't think that helps. I don't think that helps Colorado State much, but I don't know. I think this Texas team as a 7 could be really scary. I think they could be a scary.
Yeah, I'm with you here, and I think this is where, to me, this is where a big run happens, and I see Texas getting over Tennessee. I could definitely. And I see Texas getting over Creighton. I could see Creighton in, but at the same time, I'm looking at this bracket. We have, 2 Big East teams in the Final Four here. Do we think all 3 get through? That's unlikely, right? You'd like to think one of them is going to drop it.
Very unlikely.
I think Texas is where you see it. And I think this is where this Midwest region could really get shaken up, is if you saw McNeese go through and then like a Texas into the Final Four. I don't mind throwing a bracket together like that. I don't know, thoughts? Do you want to veto anything there?
I don't hate it honestly because I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think. I mean, we already have one of the one seeds not making it, but I don't think there'll be more than 2 1 seeds that make the
Mhm.
Final Four. And I don't hate that at all. Texas could put a miracle run together. I mean, they're not that bad of a team. You look at it, they had their little bump in the road, they had their stretch, but they also had their games where they came out and they dominated. Um, but ultimately, for me, I think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be two Big East teams playing for the national
Right.
championship. But I could definitely see Baylor versus
Yep, and
Marquette
I
cut
think
down
if
the
it gets
cut
to
down the
this, I
nets.
think Marquette is able to win the national. I think it's going to be a heck of a national championship, but to me, I would put Marquette over Baylor there. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I could definitely. Yeah, no, I could definitely agree with that. I mean, both very, very good teams. It'd be a great matchup down low with Iguodaro and Yves Missi. But I think Marquette with Shaka Smart, he's a great coach. If they get back to being healthy, they've been playing good ball without Kolek. I think they could put together a serious
Yep,
run.
I completely agree. Like we said, if Kolek gets healthy, that's where it gets dangerous.
So yeah, it's a bit of a hypothetical for our
Right.
bracket, but either way, I mean,
Yeah, no, I
you still got to do it because they're a
right,
damn
and they
good
are,
team.
and they deserve the respect. When they're healthy, and even when Kolek's not healthy, this team's still really good. I think this team is a Sweet 16 and Elite Eight team without Kolek, and when you add them to him, I mean,
Yeah,
we've seen how good they can be with him. Obviously, there's so many things that could happen, right? This is the bracket was certainly an interesting one. We had Texas in there in the Final Four, but either way, we are entering, like I said, the best 96 hours of the year. Uh,
yep. 10 minutes till tip of the last or the first bowl game
Yes,
tonight.
perfect timing from us. That's how we planned it. That's exactly how we planned it.
Yep,
But
exactly.
thank you everybody for tuning in. And this has been the Sports Geeks podcast. They play, we talk.